Alright, what's up guys? We're going to talk about how to model a very simplified version of the Sydney Opera House, similar to how you guys did this week. So right away I open up, I'm in Rhino, and my meters are, my units are in meters, sorry. So that's, I guess it doesn't really matter as long as everything's scaled to how you're doing it, but for this model, the units I'm going to be in is meters. That's important to know. So right away, just going to draw a circle for a diameter. And our diameter is going to be 150. And I'm just literally going to copy this 4 times. Because I want to have 4 of these circles. I know I'm doing this off the grid, it's alright. Don't freak out. Also, we're in top view if you didn't notice that. Okay, but we might change that around later. Alright, so we have that, and then I'm just going to put a center dot in all of these. If I have on my on snap down here, it says center is checked. I can just come in here and hover my mouse around the edge, and it'll want to snap to the edge every time I do this. Also, I'm able to do this fast. If you didn't know, if I right click on the mouse, it will just repeat the same command, so I don't have to type in or go over here and click on the point every time. I can just right click. Alright, now that that's done, I'm going to draw a line just straight up on all these, and then I'm going to copy this same line over. I like to overextend the line past the circle, just because my ortho is on, my ortho needs to be on. That draws a line perfectly straight up and down. When circles, I don't like drawing straight to the edge, because sometimes I might have misclicked and it's not actually perfectly up and down even if my ortho is on. So it's just a precautionary thing that I do. So then I highlight all this, and then I can just trim this all like that. I just type the trim, highlight everything, and then select the part I don't want. Alright. Okay, so now we're gonna start messing with these points. So actually, we want 2 points because we're gonna move our lines around. So I'm gonna Control C, Control V to copy and paste, and for each one's gonna be slightly different. But for this point, we're gonna move it to the left 3. So I'm gonna type in -3 by just clicking on the red arrow. It's gonna move it a little bit that way, not by much, and then I'm gonna move it down 12.5. So I can do -12.5 to move it down. So now we just have a point over here floating. And for this one, it's just going to be to the left by 7. So I type in -7. Cool. If I want, though, I can Control C, Control V, so I can keep that original point. That way now I have 2 points. So Control C, Control V. That's just copy and paste, by the way. And we're going to move this one to the right, 21, and down 15.5. Whoops. -15.5. Alright. And for this one, we're just going to go straight down, Control C, Control V, straight down -12.5. Awesome. Alright. From here, I'm just going to rotate each of these. We're going to make basically like slices in each of these. So right away, I can just type in rotate. And for the first one, Alright, for the first one, we're gonna click the bottom, click the top, and now just move it to the left, but we're gonna do an angle of 25 degrees. And then I'm gonna mirror that straight up to get a total of 50 degrees. And then I'm going to join these for temporarily. I can just highlight them. I can either click on this or I can type in join. For this one, we're gonna type rotate. Again, I'm typing in rotate. This is different than if I used gumball to rotate it. I'm gonna type it in, click the bottom, make sure I'm clicking the actual top, the point. And then I'm gonna rotate this one 20 degrees. Same thing, I'm gonna mirror it. For a total of 40 degrees. Highlight it, join it. Okay, we'll get to why there's another point over there later. This one, rotate. Top, bottom. Gonna rotate this one way bigger, it's 46. And then mirror it. So a big angle. And then the last one, gonna rotate it. Just 25. And then mirror it. So we have 50. Okay, make sure these are joined. Alright, and then so the reason why we're doing that is now we want to move the vertices of these triangles to that new point. We probably have to turn off gumball for this because it's going to get in the way, but I can just click on this point and drag it to where I want. Drag it. Just like that. And I think, yeah, that's how it goes. Okay. All right. And then if I look at this in perspective, I actually want to rotate all of this with my gumball. Now I can use gumball and just rotate this forward like this. And now we're going to click on these lines. We're going to extend them past so there's intersections. So actually if I highlight all of these and then explode them, and now if I click on them, and I want to do scale 1D because we're just going to extend the lines basically. Just like that. So how to do that is we make sure we have scale 1D, click the top point, bottom point, and then it should just follow its path like this. Alright. So I'm just repeating the same thing for all of these. Scale 1D, top, bottom, extend, top, bottom, and extend. Alright, now we want to go back to our circle tool, find the one that's by diameter, and we're going to draw these circles in here, like this. basically making a sphere, but it's going to help us trim later. Okay. That's why we rotated these, we extended these lines so it's easier to draw these circles inside. Alright. Alright, now that we have that, we're aiming to just get a piece of this. It's a little bit confusing, but I'll just show you with like the first one, like what the goal is. If we highlight all this and then type trim, and then we go in and we get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of this, get rid of this. We're just trying to get a wedge basically. Okay. Cool. So this is like, yeah, we want to trim until we get that sliver right there. And then we want to make that a surface. So if I go to the surface tool and then click on surface from a network of curves, I can just click on this, click on that, enter, and it will just make a surface based off those curves. So we want to do that for all of these. So I can probably just highlight all of this and then just go to town, cutting away what I don't want. Don't want that, don't want that, don't want that, not that, not that, none, none, none. Okay. Yeah, so we got that one done. This one's gonna be really big. So this one is cut like this, I believe. Yeah. Right there, where that intersection is. Cool. Almost done. It can get really confusing, so this might take a couple tries. You might have accidentally deleted a part that you don't want to delete. Just Control Z it. That will help. But there you go. So that's a big wedge, and then now we have this skinnier one right here. Okay. And that should be, oh, make sure we don't have these little nubs. There we go. Cool. That is all done. So now we're gonna make the surface like how we did earlier out of all of these. So surface, the curves, click here, click there, enter. Okay. If I right click, I can repeat that. 1, 2, 3, enter. Okay. Repeat it. 1, 2, 3, enter. Okay. Alright, now what we do for all of these, I can literally do it all at once. Click them all, and I'm just going to rotate them kind of backwards 25 degrees, and I can do this with Gumball. I don't need to type rotate. I can just click on the red arrow and type 25, and they're just going to rotate them like that. That's all it is. Alright. These lines are confusing. We can move these away. We can just pull this forward. Alright. And then Now if I look in top view, this would be easier. We're going to mirror all of these over to make more complete shapes. So if I type mirror, I can go like this, just rotate it over, like this, rotate it over, or mirror it over, sorry, and rotate it. We want to make sure there's no gap right here, so if there is, we can just make it until there isn't one. There we go. And then let's get a better look at this one. Okay, type mirror, and like this. And the reason I'm doing this is, or the reason why I'm mirroring it so far down is that way there's not any holes. So there's going to be slightly gross looking overlappings like this. But if I highlight all this, I can type trim and get rid of all this excess stuff. So it's going to get rid of all these like fins that are sticking out basically. Yeah, like that. So they should be pretty clean by the time you're just cutting off the excess basically. Cool. And then if I select this, I type join. Cool. And then now we want to offset the inside surface, because it's basically we're adding thickness to it. So I do offset surface and make sure the arrows are pointing inside. Make sure our distance, if I go up here and click on distance, it's 3, and I just enter, and it just added some thickness to it. So make sure these are joined first. Join, offset, surface, inside, enter. Cool. Make sure these are joined. Then offset. Make sure it's the inside. By clicking on it, I can just change the direction. 3. Cool, that's good. And then same with this. Join it. Offset. It's already inside. Enter. Alright. Now that's perfect. And now I can bring these closer together to create the shape that we want. And the Sydney Opera House is like, the shapes are like changing in size. So if I wanted, I could just scale these up to make it look more realistic. Like I could lift this up. I could slightly make this big. Can make this one slightly smaller. This one's slightly bigger. But you can just mess around with it and try and figure out what looks closest to like the actual like picture or whatever. Move this over a little. And then if I go to a side view, we can make sure that all these are somewhat actually on the same plane. So I can just draw a straight line, select all these shapes, move them down, and then we can just get them as close as we want to this line, making sure they're all lined up on it. You don't really need to snap it to it because we're going to make a ground that's going to cut off some of this anyway. So something like that. And then in perspective, now we can make, actually we can go to top view, and we can make a rectangle around this. extrude it a little bit. Just a barely, like whatever we want, maybe like 2. And we can lower this in this view. Can lower this to a degree. And in rendered, we can see what this looks like. And there you go. My lines are in the way kind of, but rendered view, that's what it would look like. Yeah, the super simplified version of this, just getting the idea of the shapes and how you could make them. So that is the basis of that design.